You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, as always, Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, we're going to do a little 49ers Cardinals preview. I'm going to list my reasons why I think the 49ers can win this game and pull off the upset, handing Arizona its first loss of the season. But right now, this is what I want you to do. If you think San Francisco, as the underdogs, can pull off the upset, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We do have some 49ers news items to get to. Robbie Gould, the place kicker who missed Sunday's game, which was a disaster because Mitch Wishnowsky was forced to take kickoffs, and do the extra points. Robbie Gould has been placed on IR. Niners were without a kicker until today. They have signed Joey Slye to replace Robbie Gould, who's going on injured reserve, so he's going to miss at least 3 games. Joey Slye does have some experience in the National Football League, 58 of 73 throughout his career. That's an 80% clip, and he's been 10 of 18 from 50-plus yards, which is really solid number considering the distance there. He did kick earlier this year with the Houston Texans. He went 4 of 5 on those kick attempts. Now let's get to the 49ers injury report. Going into Sunday's massive game with massive divisional implications against these undefeated Cardinals who have the top-ranked offense in the National Football League. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be reevaluated on Wednesday because of that calf bruise that he suffered in the first half against the Seahawks on Sunday. Trent Williams is also going to be reevaluated on Sunday with that shoulder injury. There's some fluid in there. I think that could lead to Trent Williams either playing or not. Bye week is right around the corner, so interested to see if Kyle Shanahan does play some of these injured players or if he gives them another additional week of rest. Robbie Gould going to miss the next 3 to 5 weeks with that groin injury, as I just mentioned. And Elijah Mitchell this week, the running back, who is really a sensation out of Louisiana as a late-round pick, is expected to practice throughout this week. He's coming off that shoulder injury that he suffered against the Philadelphia Eagles. He has missed the last 2 games against the Packers as well as the Seahawks. So that is your 49ers injury report. All right, let's start previewing this game against Arizona on the road on Sunday. The Niners are going into this game as 6-point underdogs. Do you think that's disrespect from the odds makers? I think it is, and there's some really good value if you want to take San Francisco as the underdogs here. I thought the over-under was going to be a little bit higher because the Cardinals have that high-flying offensive attack. The over-under for this game set at 50, so if you want to get your bets in, you can do so. Chatsports.com/49bet. Enter the promo code Niners125 for that 125% deposit bonus. Predict the score in the comment section for me right now between the Cardinals and the Niners. I cannot wait to preview and break down this game in the ensuing moments, but get into the comment section right now and predict the score. If you get hit with that ad break, scroll on down and get those predictions in. I think the Niners can play this game close. This Cardinals offense is really, really legit. It's the top-ranked offense across the National Football League in multiple categories. They are a high-flying attack. They beat the brakes off the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday in a very, very impressive win over a Rams team that a lot of people had pegged to be the top team in the National Football League. And prior to Sunday's game, the Rams were playing extraordinary offensive football. And while all of the conversation has been on Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and this Cardinals offense, the defense has been very, very good as well. We'll take a peek at that defense coming up here in just a bit. But first, I want to take a look at Kyler Murray's numbers because they've been stupid throughout the first 4 games of the season. If you're looking at MVP frontrunners so far up to this juncture of the season, Kyler Murray is probably atop that list. He's throwing for 318 yards per game. He's completing a ridiculous 76% of his passes. Average yards per catch, 12.5, which is one of the better numbers across the NFL. Touchdown to interception ratio at 9-4. When you compare the 49ers offense against the Cardinals offensive attack, it really doesn't compare at all. The Cardinals are averaging a league best 35 points per game, a league best 440 yards of total offense, 304 pass yards per game, 136 rushing yards per game, and their red zone touchdown percentage is at 72. That means when they get into the red zone, they are scoring a touchdown 72% of the time. As for the 49ers, they have some work to do. They might have to play catch up. That's why it's so critical to not jump into an early hole to try to come out of that in this game. Points per game, little less than 27. Total yards, 375. Pass yards per game, 261. Their toting the rock at a pretty good clip, putting together 115 rushing yards per game. But check out the red zone numbers. Throughout this season, this is why I'm high on Kyle Shanahan. Every time San Francisco has gotten into the red zone, they have scored a touchdown. 100% rate. They're going to have to do that against a very solid and underrated Cardinals defense on Sunday. So do you fear, the Cardinals offense going into this game? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. Of course you have to fear the Cardinals offense. Cliff Kingsbury has had it going on. He's been in his bag from a play calling standpoint. Kyler Murray has made some plays that make you sit back and say, holy shit. This guy is really legit, one of the more dynamic weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Not even talking about quarterbacks across the NFL. This Cardinals offense is legit, and this Niners defense will have their work cut out for them. In addition to Kyler Murray, there are a lot of Cardinals offensive weapons who the Niners are going to have to be wary of on Sunday. DeAndre Hopkins, been in the league for a minute. Still one of the best wide receivers in the game. A.J. Green has kind of rejuvenated himself. I wasn't sure how much he was going to be able to do this year. I thought maybe he was washed. He's been very good so far. Christian Kirk, very good wide receiver who is a deep play threat, but kind of a gadget guy who you can have him run a bunch of different routes. Rondale Moore, the rookie out of Purdue, has been making some big plays this year. Cliff Kingsbury has put him in a lot of positions to be successful with the ball in his hands. His yards after the catch number, very, very good. And then James Conner suffered a lot of injuries the last couple of years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he, like A.J. Green, has been rejuvenated by a change of scenery. He's been good running the football with a lot of authority. So when you take a look at all of these offensive weapons for the Cardinals, in addition to the play calling standpoint from Cliff Kingsbury, how well Kyler Murray has been playing, this is another big test for this Niners defense, really the third in a row. Green Bay, Seattle, now you get the Arizona Cardinals, but they're not all about offense. They are very good on the defensive side of the ball. My bad on that. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, Byron Murphy. So if Trey Lance does get the start in place of Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to be swarmed by this defense that can kind of hit you with a variety of stuff. They can hit you with a pass rush, but they can run sideline to sideline with the good athletes that Isaiah Simmons is, Budda Baker is, Byron Murphy leading the league with Trayvon Diggs. He's right up there for that interception count. He has 4. And they can do a bunch of different things schematically. Play a little man-to-man. They can play a little zone as well. And they're going to throw a bunch of different looks at the rookie in Trey Lance if he does make his first career start to try to confuse him a little bit. They can be exposed, though, on the ground. Arizona giving up 5.3 yards per rush. That is the second worst number in the National Football League. So while in pass coverage, they've been pretty good, and they stopped that Rams offense on Sunday. That game really wasn't close. Not as close as what the scoreboard indicated. You can take advantage of this team in the ground game. And it will be nice if the 49ers can get back Elijah Mitchell. He's expected to practice this week. Trey Sermon did make back-to-back starts in his absence. But if you have both of these guys instead of one, more running backs at Kyle Shanahan's disposal and more talented running backs only means good news for Kyle Shanahan from a play calling standpoint. Today's show is presented to you by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This is the best sportsbook deal that any sportsbook has to offer. If you go to chatsports.com/49bet and enter the promo code Niners125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. So when you put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. That's $225 to game with, folks. And when you look at the NFC West odds, the Niners to start the season were number 1 in odds to win this division. They have dropped to last place. Crazy because of this 2-game skid. And because the Cardinals are the last remaining undefeated team in the league, they have vaulted up to number 1 at plus 175. The Rams also there at plus 175. Seahawks at plus 350 after that win over the Niners. And then the Niners at plus 450. So if you think San Francisco can kind of come back and they can kind of reclaim the season to a certain degree, decent value there. Let me give you some reasons on why I think the 49ers and how the 49ers can hand the Cardinals their first loss of the year. And we're going to go a little bit faster through these. Number one, if Trey Lance does get the start, Kyle Shanahan has to do his due diligence as a head coach, as a play caller, as the de facto offensive coordinator to design a game plan for Lance to be successful. I'm talking RPOs, I'm talking read options, quarterback rollouts, and play actions in certain situations where Trey Lance can use that arm strength to take the top off of the defense. Easy reads, limit his throws and his reads to one side of the field. That's what Kyle Shanahan has to do if Trey Lance does start. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo not out of the equation to be the starting quarterback come Sunday. You also have to win the turnover battle. So far through 4 games, the Niners have forced a grand total of 1 turnover. That's one of the worst numbers in the league. And since Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach of this football team, they have been one of the worst organizations when it comes to turnover differential. You win the turnover battle, you win like 70 to 80% of the games in the NFL. And the last couple of weeks, the 49ers have been on the wrong side of that. Number 3, a consistent pass rush all game. To start that game 2 weeks ago against the Packers, Nick Bosa, Dee Ford, Javon Kinlaw, Eric Armstead, they were rushing after him with their hair on fire. They were doing the same thing against the Seattle Seahawks. First 5 drives of the game, they forced 5 consecutive 3-and-outs. But for some reason, this defense has waned as the game has progressed, and that pass rush hasn't been there in the second half. It hasn't been there in the fourth quarter during some of these close games where you have to mount a comeback. So this Niners defensive front has to have a more consistent pass rush all game against this very elite Cardinals offense. Speaking of offenses, Niners have to start faster offensively. They've been one of the worst first quarter teams across the NFL in terms of putting points on the board to start games. And they have to be better against a team in the Cardinals that is going to assuredly put points up on the board in a hurry. If you dig yourself an early hole, it's going to be tough to come back out of that, especially if Trey Lance is starting this game, because then you're looking at a rookie quarterback making his first career start who is going to have to pass the ball against a team that predicates itself on being good against the pass and having a good pass rush. If you put Trey Lance in that situation where you can't even run the football because you have to focus on passing the football to come back, you're not allowing Trey Lance to be successful. And then point number 5. The defense overall really does just have to step up. They have to be better. You got to force turnovers. You got to have a more consistent pass rush. The defense in the back end has to be better. I understand they're depleted. I understand they're working with the likes of Drake Kirkpatrick and Josh Norman if he can play. But can the defense just be better, especially late in games, and limit some of these big plays because the Cardinals offense is so good at generating the big plays? And number 6. If you can win this game, and if you can handle the Cardinals offense, and the defense steps up, and this offense can get off to a faster start, and you give the Cardinals their first loss of the year, you go into the bye week with a lot of good vibes. You go into the bye week with a little bit of momentum. On the other side of that bye week, you return with a Sunday Night Football game against a beatable Indianapolis Colts team. This is a week where the 49ers can reverse the tides. This is a week where the Niners can turn around their season after back-to-back ugly losses. You win this game, you beat arguably the best team in the NFL. Everybody who's calling for Kyle Shanahan to get fired, those voices will be silenced, and going into the bye weeks, you get some good vibes and momentum. Before I get out of here, predict the score between the Niners and the Cardinals. Get those score predictions in the comment section down below. Let's all hope, let's all pray that the Niners can be victorious. They can put a full 60-minute game together. They can play well offensively, defensively, as well as special teams, because this team has not put together a full game in all 3 phases yet this year.